Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of TechAdvice.life TV. I'm joined today by Roanne Monti. She's the creator of the Roanne Video Intelligence Platform by Armatech Global that monitors hours of security footage, making security smarter, safer, and more affordable, and which was inspired due to Roanne being stalked and intimidated by a rogue security guard during the pandemic. We'll learn about all that in a moment, but Roanne, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Alex. I'm happy to be here.
Very happy for you to take the time. Thank you. Now, let's start at the beginning. Can you please tell us about this rogue security guard that was harassing you for over a year during the pandemic and how this sparked the idea for a video security platform that worked without taking the jobs of existing security guards?
Yeah, so unfortunately, that occurred for over a year. Right before the borders closed, I was actually working in Chicago. And I'm Aussie, actually, but I left 30 years ago. So now I'm revealing my age a bit to work and study overseas. And my relatives and family were like, the government's going to close the border. You better come back. So I did, and I lived in the North Sydney Lavender Bay area, and I could only find an apartment, the only apartment that would take my dog, that who I was waiting for, was at this place across a co-working space in Lavender Bay. And unfortunately, the guard was just stalking me for about over a year, and it was very traumatizing. Obviously, had to deal with it. And it inspired me to build a platform because I couldn't get any evidence against the person to make him accountable for what he was doing. And I figured I cannot be the only person who has experienced the situation in which I need evidence to give to the police. So instead of I wanted to do something about it and turn something very negative into a positive.
And this exposes the problem that people face in similar situations where the police won't act until it's arguably too late because they have undertaken an assault. And so, what was the evidence that you were able to collect and what inspired you? I mean, you must have had some experience in this area to be able to create such a system.
Well, I mean, I'm a technologist. I build systems. That's what I've been doing for over 20 years. I started out as a software engineer and ended up in product leadership, technology product leadership, basically turning things into something very useful in the technology space, focus more on software. And so for me, it was I there's obviously a lot of creativity and engineering involved in it, and I just wanted to. I actually could not get evidence from the situation. It was very unfortunate because I told the business, "Hey, this is what this guy is doing. You need to, I need to let you know about it." So fast forward 2 months after, I just couldn't get enough evidence, and frankly, I felt quite gaslit, like as if I was some crazy person imagining things. And, my nature is I'm a fairly logical person, I just try to go about my life. And they really couldn't do anything about it. And I just really then took a deep dive into the security industry and wondered, well, how can someone get away with this? How do I fix this? I cannot be the only person who is going through this situation where I cannot get enough evidence. So I started, even though I was stressed out, I guess one way for me to deal with my stress was to just start coding and start building the algorithms. And so, hence, here we are today. So, thankfully, there's a solution.
So, did you set up camera systems and you were then monitoring what was happening on all the captured video? I mean, what happened as well to the rogue security guard? Did the police end up arresting him or taking some kind of action that stopped his assaults because you then had this evidence?
So I knew that I wanted to obviously put AI into it and build it with AI from the start because you need in order to process tremendous amounts of data, video data. Imagine all of the video data that we come across on a daily basis, right? Even if you were, as a homeowner, you have a home or an apartment, one or two cameras can gather a lot of data. So in terms of the security guard, I mean, I actually had a great case. So a friend of mine, Chris, Chris Murphy's. I didn't know how famous he was in Australia, that he's this famous lawyer. And Brian, who works with him, Brian Wrench. So they were taking care of the case, and we actually had had a very, very strong case. And I just decided not to pursue that and instead solve the problem. I have obviously a very limited amount of time. And so I wanted to focus my time, instead of focusing on myself, to focus on how do I then help everybody else who is going through or who might be going through what I had just been going through. So he's out there right now. And part of what inspires me to continue and build and improve the platform and democratize the platform so it's available to everybody, is because that kind of, actually, in a bizarre way, it inspires me, because he can't be the only criminal out there, right? There are other bad actors, not to demonize situations, but there are bad actors out there. And I just wanted to build something that is useful to people, and that could help people. So, and to obviously try to create some, safety is a right. It shouldn't be just for people with money, right? Or who can afford expensive systems. Safety is a fundamental human right, and everybody deserves to feel safe, particularly in their homes or in the surrounds of their homes. So, but yes, he's still out there, unfortunately, but it actually drives me to build better and keep improving on it, and making it cost efficient for people.
Yeah. Well, having a pain point is usually the catalyst to come up with something that solves that particular pain point. And look, it's not as if security cameras haven't been around for some decades now. So rather than try to retrofit existing legacy solutions to make them AI enabled, you created the Roand AI platform as an AI native platform, so that this could then scale and it would have AI at its core. So tell us a bit about this particular, the platform itself, and sort of how it's grown in the time that you came up with, I guess, the pilot version of this system, and where you are today.
So thank you for that. That's a great question. The platform, we have a few, obviously, more complex versions of it, which is more for government and for corporations to protect their assets. But the core platform, the standard version of the platform, is available to everybody. So whereas before this technology would only be available to businesses and big corporations, now a homeowner or a small business owner can access it. So the difference between kind of, AI, as you know, is kind of thrown around a lot. It's an AI native platform because it has AI capabilities at its core. And it hopes to save time and money, obviously. And for situations, I mean, there are many use cases. So a good technologist, hopefully, as myself, builds things that are useful for many different situations, not just one. I've been building technology products for over 20 years, and probably a main challenge for me in this, obviously, for this particular situation, is that one way to think about it is like our indirect competitors you have to buy the camera, you have to now pay for that, and the monthly thing, and it's very, very expensive. And the main challenge for me is, how do I make this technology available for everybody in a way that is not so expensive. So it requires a lot of focus and a lot of dedication, obviously, because it's not easy to do. And we've done our best, so we're very excited about it.
And are you using or selling your own camera systems, or are people able to reuse the ones that they might already have? And then when you are, getting the looking at the dashboard of what the AI has analyzed, is it showing you, a series of events that it wants humans to look at because it has determined that these are the ones out of the hours and hours of footage that really need that human, interaction?
Yes, so there are three products inside the platform. So it's really a product suite. So similar to what you would see Microsoft 365, you've got Word, Excel, and Outlook, and a few others inside. We have kind of the same setup. There are three products inside the platform. There's one called Rowan Clue, and that's for when if you know exactly what you're looking for, let's say the incident you're interested in is because your car got lost and you're looking for your car, and you tell the system you are looking for a red car, or to be more specific, a knife or an object of interest. All you have to do is upload your footage into the system and tell it what you're looking for, and it will tell you, well, here's what I found, and here are some video snippets. And then you have the option then to send it into a report. So you could send it to your insurance company, or if it's a corporation, they usually send it to police. But you have at every point in time, you can review the thing that you're interested in and run a report. The other one, Rowan Now, is if you don't know what happened. Let's say you have 3 hours of video and you want to know, you haven't even seen the video and you don't have time and you need to know right now what happened. You upload the whole video and it will just, name the file and it will just tell you what happened. And then you can run a report. So we try to make it as intuitive and easy to use as possible. Most of the technologies that are built around this is very difficult and is designed for people with a lot of computer experience, a lot of technical experience. But we really focus on empathetic user experience for the user. They don't have to change their cameras. The whole point is to save people money and get value from the thing, not find, but obviously you need to have a camera that can has enough definition. So if it's a very, very old camera, that it might be a little difficult. So that's what it is. Very, very excited.
Yeah. So just to be clear, it's not a whole new security system and new cameras. You actually work with people's existing solutions, but you're this new additional layer that you can plug into these existing systems, but supercharge it so that it can give you this intelligent, incident analysis, or it can just describe exactly what's going on in the same way that you can upload a recording of a conference to ChatGPT and get it to give you not only a full transcript but a summary of all the important topics, and that way you're actually a value add and an improver of people's existing systems, not a replacement for it.
That's correct. So one thing, a lot of technologists that just want to disrupt an industry and this is all I'm focused on. We're obviously focused. The reality is we have economic realities. We have investors and we obviously have to stay in business and make money. But I like to bring value to people, not to kind of, have them think, oh, now I've got to change my whole system and spend more money. Our system is you don't have to install anything. You can just like any software as a service, you just buy a subscription monthly, and that's all it is. They don't have to change their cameras. They don't need to buy new hardware. Part of what differentiates us from others out there is you don't have to buy anything new. As long as your camera is not like 10 years old or something, then maybe they have to look at your blog and your advice more, Alex. I'm sure you have better advice on hardware than me. I'm a software person, so that's what it is. We really want to just bring value to people instead of adding on to cost. The technology is becoming more commercialized in terms of the capabilities of AI, and we want to bring that value add to people.
And I'm guessing that some of these platforms might be trying to do something similar as part of their own offerings, but clearly your platform is superior. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a market.
Yes. So, I mean, as a product leader, one of the things you study is your competitive analysis. There's no point spending all this money, although we got to market for less than a million USD, which is quite an achievement. And we're available in 20 countries. One of the things we study is competitive analysis and make sure that it's not just, I didn't want to build something that would in a flooded market. What differentiates us is that one, you don't have to buy the hardware. Two, you don't have to buy an expensive system that you now have to install. And three, it's available, those systems, if you wanted a fancy system, it's usually for people with very, very expensive and fancy homes, and that's it. What about the people who just living their regular lives and want access to the technology? So that's why we wanted to democratize it by making it cost efficient and affordable for everybody. So that's the whole point, is to democratize it and make sure that whether you're a big corporation or a homeowner or a small business, that it's affordable according to their business needs. So
Yeah. I know I've got friends that run businesses and they have Hikvision cameras, recording to the cloud and to physical systems. But normally there is no AI type of platform that you can export the video to and upload it. So clearly, those people who already have existing systems but want this add-on to be able to sort through all that information are going to be the ones that are your primary customers.
yes, so for the enterprise version, we do have the live version, which is because we didn't want to make a technology available to the public that is a form of surveillance, because now we do not want people infringing on another person's rights, privacy rights. So the readily available platform is only available as an after the fact, like diagnostic post facto tool. For large corporations, we have both the after the fact as well as real time. So it really depends on the needs of the entities of the enterprise. But a lot of those enterprises who paid a lot of money for their systems, they end up, okay, so I have a security guard, I have 20 monitors. All that guard has to do is blink and he could miss something, right? So our one is a force multiplier, so to speak, that allows it's like having, instead of one guard, you now have four guards, and it allows the guard to be more productive. In a similar way to, we have the corporate world has Chat GPT, right? So it's generative AI. They input something and it allows them to be productive. One way to think of this is, well, how about the security industry? How about allowing them to work in this new AI economy, and potentially it could attract good quality candidates for the security industry, which will then hopefully improve public safety, because we have the police, we have the security industry. These are the people keeping the public safe. We want to make sure they are part of the AI economy. So
Yeah, and look, whenever I watch a movie and there's somebody trying to break in somewhere, and somehow they'll upload a bit of a recording of some footage that has been captured. It's sort of going around in a circle so that they can go by and not be seen. And I'm imagining that your live system, might be able to detect, hey, this footage is on repeat. It's someone's trying to fool us. And because normally in the movies you see someone sitting behind, or a few people sitting behind some screens, but there never appears to be any sort of AI that is there saying, hey, check this out. This doesn't seem right. So is that something that the live version of the platform is doing, or even the version that is looking at it after the fact, can recognize and say, hang on, I mean, we're always looking at this one door, but even though it's the door and you're waiting for someone to open it or break in, it can tell that is the same footage over and over. Is it that sophisticated? Are people using it for that right now?
So that's a great question, because we have a deep fake feature. So for Rowan Clue, if you upload a video and you're not sure whether it's real, we have a deep fake feature which will give you an idea of to what extent might that be a fake. If we look at what's out there right now, there's a lot of generative videos, deep fakes that are sometimes not good. And obviously, we want to make sure that what you're analyzing, what you're diagnosing, is real. So that was one thing that one of the features that I wanted to make sure that was built in the platform. And obviously, for the more expensive plans, more expensive subscriptions, there are more capabilities, whether it's changing the surroundings or, it's pretty fancy for the higher end ones, for more, businesses who might need that. But for the fundamental thing for consumers, there is a deep fake feature detection to make sure that the video, what's the point in analyzing the video if it's not even real? So that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that was in there. So, yeah.
And does the Roand platform use existing AI engines such as ChatGPT, or did you have to create your own from scratch?
So we have a hybrid. So we don't use ChatGPT. We have the capabilities within our team, mainly in the leadership team, to create our own. So we use best in breed AI models, but we also create our own. As has been known, it's becoming more efficient and cost effective to train AI models. We've heard of the stuff that's been in the news. So we didn't rush into creating our own models because we want to make sure that they're compliant and that they are not biased in any way. So we're very careful about our build, and I'm very proud of my other leaders, because we're all, except for one who's Sai, who's the physical security domain experts. All of us code. So I don't code as much these days running the company, but we all code. We have an amazing principal AI engineer, and the leadership is very strong. So I think it's helped a lot in making sure we have that originality in what we're doing.
Are there any existing customer success stories, whether in Australia or globally, that you want to just touch on briefly?
Well, we have only been live the subscription one, this turnkey software as a service, SaaS one. It's only been live for a month. And we have obviously some enterprise and government use cases that we're in the pipeline with, but we signed confidentiality, so we can't discuss them. But we're just looking forward to bringing value to them. There's various use cases, including logistics and transportation. So think, the various distribution centers. There's also mining that's of interest to them, because they everybody wants to cut costs and pay for guards, but also they want to get more value from that relationship that they might have with the security company. So it's structured so that it empowers the guard in their workflow, and it also empowers the security company, and they're obviously the most qualified for those specific use cases where there are multiple guards involved. So we're very excited about the various industries that we're addressing.
Yeah, I'm sure that for mining, it's not just security in terms of people trying to break in, but like incident control. I mean, people might try and cover up something that happened, but if the cameras have recorded it and the AI can determine that it happened, then the leadership can be informed and they can make decisions, accordingly. But there must also be the body cams that the police and security guards are wearing these days, and so that would all be part of the video that can be uploaded into the platform, right?
So it is agnostic, meaning it applies to, it's not specific to any hardware. So for the body cams and for drones as well, the drone use case for us is being refined constantly. So obviously the low-hanging fruit for us is CCTVs, but body cams, it could be any we don't want to lock people in, whether you're a corporation or a small business or a homeowner. We like to good technologies agnostic so that it applies to many different things. But obviously, nothing's perfect, so we're constantly refining it. And at every stage of the process, when a user is on the platform and they're doing their analysis or diagnosis of what happened and gaining insights, the human is in control the whole time. So it does have human oversight at all times. So it's more about making humans more productive, making humans bringing more value to what humans are trying to do. So I'm very cognizant and very aware of that in our build.
And in training the system, I mean, with generative AI, you can describe something and then it'll create a document or a video for you or a picture. Are you able to describe certain events that can happen, whether on a mining site or building site or whatever it might be, and even maybe demonstrate to the system what some sort of accident might look like so that the system can be fine-tuned to be looking for those sorts of things? Or does it somehow already sort of have that capability built in, or it's pre-programmed? I mean, presumably there's some way of customizing it for specific things that the system might not know about yet.
That's correct. So for those situations, let's say a very specific a situation for mining, and so for example, we have a customer in the pipeline where the package got lost and it's thousands of dollars, and obviously they have to pay, the insurance has to cover for all of that. They don't know what happened. It took them days to figure out what happened. Where did it go? Who stole it? The police needed evidence, and it took them days. So for that type of use case, upload the video, it'll find it. But we have both for situations where it's a corporation. We train the model specific to their situation. So let's say it's an area that is a quarantined area. Let's say it's stuff that comes from, in plain terms, stuff that's come from overseas, and it needs to be made sure that no one's accessing that area. There are various ways that we can train a model specific to that situation, so that as the time goes by, it gets smarter and smarter, and it gets smarter at detecting the very situation that it's looking for. So whereas some companies might just detect objects, so, okay, you found a lady with a red hat, or there's no context, right? There's no context. So the more sophisticated version of our platform brings together the context. So in fancy schmancy terms, it's contextualization of data. So we want to train that model to make sure that it is looking at the things that entity is looking for, and it gets smarter over time.
So, I mean, I'm thinking that really this, at the moment anyway, it's more aimed towards businesses and government and enterprises and logistics and mining rather than consumers at home. I mean, I've got an Arlo system, for example, and it can tell me if it detects a package or if it sees an animal or motion. But it sounds like it's not really something that I, as a consumer, would want to get yet because it's a bit too basic because the system I have can already do that sort of thing? Or is this something that I could, if I have a Swan system or an Arlo system, can I take advantage of this?
Yes, so with Arlo, you have do you subscribe
I do.
monthly for
Yeah,
it keeps it for 30 days,
that's
right,
correct. Yeah.
Alex? Okay. So for your situation, you could just go to the website and choose a plan. So you could take the cheapest plan. I think it's 49.95 USD, something like 78 bucks AUD. That's the most basic a month. And take let's say you're there's something you're very interested in. People have different things that they're interested in. Who stole my package? Let's take something simple. What happened to my package? Amazon said it's there. Now it's gone, and I just spent 300 bucks on a new gadget or something. You could take your past footage, so download it from your Arlo system, upload it to our system, and just ask it what happened. Where's my package? Or, I'm looking for a package, or just name the file, click submit or analyze, and it will tell you exactly what happened. Here's what happened in this video. I mean, there are some people. One of our testers is a man who couldn't figure out. He was like, "Well, actually, you want me to?" This was before we went live. You want me to test it? Can you test past videos of my son? I'm trying to look for my son's birthday party. It could be something like that. It doesn't have to be security. It could just be like you have hours and hours of video, you don't know what happened. So it's actually good for journalists as well, for media. If you imagine field journalists taking footage, do they have time to make sense of all that? And maybe they just need to organize the files. So you could build an entire library on our platform and organize your files and do it that way. So it's really for homeowners, for journalists. It applies. The more sophisticated one is obviously for businesses and enterprises and government. But for someone like you, Alex, yes, absolutely. If you just want to find out what happened, you're too lazy, you're not going to sit there and analyze it. Just run it, and it'll tell you which video is the one where they stole your package.
And in the future, will you be working with these existing companies so that you can have some sort of API that you can choose to have the footage automatically uploaded, whether it's an enterprise system, so that the whole thing can be automated? Because at the moment, I would have to download and upload, but I would love to just be able to hit a button and then interrogate the system and say, show me. Because at the moment, I have to look through certain days to try and find something. But if I'm telling the system I want, the Rowan system, I want to see every instance of a package being delivered. It would be nice for that to be automated. I mean, if you're only a month old, I mean, obviously there's plenty of these opportunities and partnerships to come.
We already have an API.
Well, I would imagine,
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, it's you working with those other companies and coming to some sort
yes,
of, or
yes.
letting
So
them having them allow you to log into the system.
yes, provided they allow us, and that's what they want to do. Everything is automated. The systems can talk to each other so that, they don't have to do things manually. We also have timed uploads. So some people want near real time. Maybe they don't want full surveillance, and it's more about getting a report. Some of them do it for compliance. And they can do it in timely uploads. We do that as well. So for the custom versions, we really customize it for what the client needs. But APIs, yes, big thing for us. We obviously use all different kinds in terms of we use whatever integration tool if the client does, is using a middle person or a middle entity for that, or we do direct, whichever one is useful for them.
And is it too soon to ask if some of the existing, big security players are already coming to you saying, "Hey, we want to offer you directly to our customers because it's something we're not experts in, and we can just plug you in and go." I mean, if that hasn't happened, I'm sure it will.
Yes, we've had all different kinds of conversations come our way. Obviously, there are ones who just want to buy us. Are you willing to sell your company now? No, we want to build a company, and we can innovate faster if we have less hierarchy. But to answer your question more directly, yes, big security companies are obviously very, very interested in what we're doing. And but we want to make sure that it's available to the big players as well as the small players, because uh, I guess one way to think about it is I'm a bit of a systems thinker. So security as a system, there's big security companies, there's medium and small size security companies, there's the guards. We want to make sure we're upskilling them and making sure that we're not taking their jobs, because that's not good. I'm a different type of technologist. Maybe I'm a bit of an idealist. Um, and then there's stakeholders, there's the clients, there's the corporations who always need to get value out of what they're paying for. So that's how I've kind of built the system, so that all the stakeholders and as well as the public is in that system, right? So how do we make sure that everybody's interests and is balanced and no one is being left out? So my goal is to actually, one of the things that inspired me was seeing an older security officer, and I just found it horrific that the man was working late at night. And so that's how I've built the business model aspect as well. That person can sign up as an affiliate, give his link to people, and he can make passive income every month. So there was a lot of analysis and putting together the business model. We try as much as practicable to make sure it's win-win. That's a good system, to make sure balancing everybody's interests and making sure nobody's left behind.
And I was just sort of thinking about how I interviewed the founder or the CEO of Swan Technology. They have a doorbell that uses Amazon's Anthropic, AI to respond in male or female. I think you can clone your voice. So when someone hits the doorbell, even without you being there, you can have a conversation with that person to tell them to leave the package or go away. Or if they're, pushing a doorbell at 3 a.m, the sound that comes out can be of somebody quite angry to be annoyed. Is that something you're
Never
also?
a good time.
Yeah, that's right. But are you thinking also about how you can use generative AI to extend the capabilities of the system in terms of it being that, there's cameras or systems even interacting with potentially criminals, because it's something that theoretically you can do that most security companies probably aren't thinking about doing yet, even though this one thing is now launched.
Yes, so interaction obviously is an important thing. It really depends on our focus right now is to make sure that the problem of raw video data, unstructured, kind of nobody knows what goes on, and a lot of that, most of the time, 80% of past video data nobody knows, nobody cares about until it's important for a piece of evidence or something. But for interactivity, obviously that's very important for us. One thing I kind of focus on is to make sure that every part of the build that we do and any set of improvements that we do does not violate. So I have a legal background. I'm not a lawyer, but I do have a legal background. So in all aspects of the product build, I'm always looking at what's allowed and what's not allowed. So, and also if somebody's already doing it, I don't like to, I want to make sure I'm not, let them focus on that. They're already doing that well. Let them do that. And I would only build a set of features or a set of improvement if I know it's going to complement that or it's going to bring value to that thing. So I mean, I'm a technologist who doesn't, I just hope everybody else is that way. Not everybody else is that way, obviously, but uh, and to work with people. There are other tech companies who obviously are very, very interested in helping us succeed and working with us and collaborating with us, and I'm very happy that that's the case for us.
Now, you mentioned one of your co-founders, Sai Lagaya, and you also have Alan Ambron. Can you just briefly tell us about their strengths and how they're involved in the business?
So Sai was actually the one who helped. So I knew Sai from years ago because he had a startup, a safety watch. So he was the founder of the 3G safety watch on the 3G network,
You're talking about
and
an
he had
actual watch
Dawn.
itself.
Yes, a physical device. And he had Dawn Fraser as his brand ambassador and an Australian company. And he really, I think at the time before Apple was doing their stuff, he was already doing some of the features that the Apple Watch was came out with. He couldn't scale it because, he's an entrepreneur, not a technical person. So he contacted me and he said, can you help me out? I can't scale this thing. Various government agencies want it, but I cannot scale it to the size that I need to. And I was busy, so we couldn't do the project. Fast forward to the stalking incident, because I knew that that was his expertise. He actually helped me through the stalking situation to just check out what is going on there. So I realized that I needed his domain, physical security domain expertise. His input to the platform is to make sure we're not just building, technology for the sakes of building it. We want to make sure that it's usable and that it's useful to the people who are going to be using it. So his part, he's a co-founder. His part in it is as a domain expert to make sure that at every step of the way we're doing something that is meaningful and useful. Alan is a co-founder and he is our chief architect and CSO. He's very hands-on technical, 40-year experience. I built a number of systems with him, global systems. So he's chief architect for multiple global systems. Very talented, multilingual, multi-cloud, everything. Can code in his sleep. And now that I have, because I have them, and I also have my CTO, John, who's a former AI professor at the Columbia University School of Engineering, a very fancy school. They both code and I do too, but I leave all the coding to them now. After I built the initial part of the platform, now I have a lot more responsibilities running the company. So very exciting leadership that we have. And people always ask me, how did you get it to market for less than $1 million? Well, a lot of it is because we're not really armchair executives that just strategize. I mean, we're hands-on coders. So all of the algorithms at the start, and I still work on algorithms. So we're very technical. So I guess that's a fortunate thing. Saves a lot of money.
Now, before I ask you some personal questions, is there anything else that comes to mind that we need to know about Roand that you're realizing that we haven't spoken about and we should know?
Well, I think so. To me, thank you for that, Alex. To me, the key thing that I want people to know is uh, it's a different thing to how AI is thought of, right? We are entering the AI economy, and uh, as we see in some jurisdictions, there are a lot of mass layoffs, things like that. One thing I want people to know is it's not here to replace people's jobs. It's here to bring value to an existing problem. It's here to bring value and solve problems that are a long time coming to be solved. And it's really here, the platform is here to help, to try and help people. So, I mean, open to, we have feedback forms when people use it. If they think of something, I'm very open. They can write in and tell me, hey, I used it this way and I want to see this feature. So uh, it's not that different to singing to an audience, right? Because you're always looking for feedback from people, and how can you make what you're delivering valuable to that audience? So very we get a lot of feedback, and it's a constant conversation that we have with our users. So that's probably that we it's not here to take jobs. It's here to make people more productive and save time and money.
Yeah, I often like to say that your customers are your best R&D division because they have pain points that you haven't even thought of yet or didn't realize were, so important. So I'm sure, you'll be getting even more feedback than you can possibly have imagined, and that's going to help shape the future direction of the business. So what's next for you? Are you working on any other projects in this or other tech spaces, or are you just too busy at the moment with the Roand platform?
I always say to my team, sleep is a hoax.
That's it.
So, I'm involved in a lot of things right now. So I submitted along with John, our CTO, and Alan, our chief architect, to, for instance, the DISAR, Department of Industry, Science and Resources, the DISAR AI guardrails for high risk settings. I really wanted to bring value and help the policymakers gain some more insights and understanding around AI technologies. They have some very smart people at DISAR working very hard. This is not an easy technology for people to understand. So I always try to contribute to policy. So I think I've submitted 4 things so far. In the other ones, I kind of has to do with the Department of Home Affairs cybersecurity efforts, the cyber 2023 to 2030 cybersecurity strategy for the country. And obviously those ones I submitted confidentially because we don't want people to find out what I'm saying, how we can protect the country. So I'm involved a lot in policy. In terms of technology, it's really more algorithms and models, and working on just refining and making the platform better each day. So it's more around thought leadership, I guess, if people call me that. So I get busy. I go on panels and things like that. For me right now, there are some other exciting things that I'm working on with my co-founders and tech leadership that will tell you about, Alex, the minute I'm able.
It's all still top secret, and I can fully understand that. And I guess at a higher level, how do you see AI unfolding through to 2030? I mean, we've seen the ability for AI platforms to actually start explaining the reasons why they're giving you these answers, which answers the black box problem of non-explainable AI that doesn't explain itself, just sort of gives you the answer. We're seeing that with DeepSeek, we're seeing it with Grok 3, and then sort of as an adjunct to that, which AI platforms are you using personally, or are you playing with all of them?
I play with all of them except for the ones I shouldn't be playing with. uh, so I test. I pretty hands-on with looking at what could certain ones shouldn't be doing what they're doing. For me, it's more informative around whether it's avoiding answering certain things. And there's something very dangerous about that, right? Because it can um, skew the truth or alleged truth, which is oxymoronic of sorts, into something else that shouldn't be the case. So I do look at everything. I don't fundamentally, for me, for instance, for writing, I'm not gonna, I'm quite so I went to a very fancy school, and they don't let you graduate unless you're a really, really good writer. So people think I did computer science there, or maybe I just code and that's all I do. No, they don't. They don't let you out of the place until unless you're a good writer. So I don't, I'm a little also prideful of my writing. So I don't use, unless it's kind of like something flip, I don't want to spend too much time on. It's just a summary of something, then I might use Chat GPT. But otherwise, obviously for policy work, that's, I mean, and also I can tell right away. There's when people write, especially in our language, English language, it runs on a specific iambic meter. I can tell whether a machine did it. And so, but for me, I test things. I test a lot of what's out there, and it informs me on maybe it's good to do that, but more so that what not to do. But Grok, for instance, is amazing. It's really good. There are a lot of great productivity tools out there. Obviously, it helps speed things when you're doing research or something like that. But in terms of my own work, I'm a little bit, maybe that's where a little bit of pride comes in, because I find it, kind of sometimes when someone sends me something that they shouldn't have Chat GPT, I get a little bit offended. It's like, okay, you can do better than that. You need a machine to do this for you.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I often recognize when someone has written something on X, which is obviously copied and pasted from a Chat GPT style system, and I'll often say thanks, and I'll put their name, and then I'll put the letters GPT behind it to sort of tell them that I know that they have used that. But in terms of
yeah.
the 2030 thing, I mean, do you think we might have ASI or AGI by then, which will also be a massive game changer?
So nobody knows where the AGI, artificial general intelligence space is going to go.
Mm.
I think with quantum and the commercialization of quantum and, the entire qubits ecosystem, obviously IBM and the big tech companies are it's a race right now for quantum. With all of these confluence of factors coming together, 2030 could be what would be kind of this uh, unknown thing of the future of what we see in sci-fi movies is probably going to be coming sooner than we know. The fact is, a lot of folks in the AI space themselves don't know. This is why we need guardrails. What we do need to be careful of is if those folks who don't know how it really works, they probably shouldn't be making people fearful about it, because that's not going to help us. We want to make sure that we have some great innovators in Australia. And I actually would argue that I mean, if you think about the startup ecosystem here, there's not a huge private markets here. There's not a huge but compared to other countries, such as say the US, not to kind of pit them against each other, we're doing pretty good. So I think we're in a good situation where we have policy people who are focused on it and making sure that they're doing good for the country. And we have innovators as well. So it's a good balancing it's a balancing act, but it's a good kind of situation to be in. 2030, I think what people have to remember is that we are already in the AI economy. So the best way to think about it is not that AI, and I'm sure we've seen this all over LinkedIn, where the AI is not going to replace someone's job. It's the person who knows how to use AI that will replace someone's job who's not using AI. So for 2030, my 2 cents, if people want to know my 2 cents in terms of jobs and roles, there are going to be, it will need an adjustment from a macro country kind of broader level. And the thing to do is to just be proactive about adjusting with it. This is why folks like you are helpful, because it's like you're unpacking what's going on and help people understand what's going on. So what I suggest to people is don't be afraid of it. Get informed. The more informed you are, the more you know about it, the more you can adjust to this new AI economy.
Yeah. Well, the only constant in the universe, they say, is change, or at least that's one of the two. The other one is death and taxes. And I mean, humanity has been very good at, for the most part, changing, rolling with the punches. I mean, the Luddites were wrong. I mean, we've got more jobs in different areas than ever, and automation has helped farming and so many different things. That you've got to look for the positive, and if you dwell on the negative, well, eventually you won't be here on this planet anymore, and I mean, life will go on. So just being positive is always the key, and learning about it and not being afraid of it. Now, my last couple of questions, I always like to ask these one, and the second last one is: can you please share a memory of your first personal computer?
Oh, now I'm going to reveal my age, Alex. But I guess I better fess up to it, right? Uh, Please don't laugh. And I hope, actually, one of my engineers found some show on the internet in which the machine first worked on was speaking to aliens. But, this is just engineering humor. Commodore 64. I was 8 years old, coding on basic and low level programming assembly and making rasterized images on a green and black screen. So that just tells you how old I am about. But yes, Commodore 64. And obviously, no one knows it's a relic for all you young people out there. It's a museum relic. But I started coding back then, and I've always been a curious person and like to solve things, and I like to think I'm creative, even though I'm nerdy. But yes, to answer your question, Alex, there it is. No point hiding it. Commodore 64 is my first machine.
Well, I mean, I must be older because my first computer was in 1979. It was something called the Exidy Sorcerer. At the time, you could buy the Apple One as a kit. You could buy the Commodore PET, which was the computer with the sort of almost triangular monitor that was in the Buck Rogers and the 25th Century show, which was the computer before the VIC-20, the Commodore VIC-20, which was the computer before the Commodore 64. So don't worry about it. I mean, the Commodore 64 was a great place to start, and I do remember all those computer magazines and the cassettes and having to type in things and joysticks, and they had the cartridges. And so, yeah, I mean, a friend of mine whose son is, I think he's now in his late teens or early 20s, they've actually found a Commodore 64 from somewhere. They've been booting it up and playing with it. And I said to him, well, you should also, try it against the Commodore 64 emulators. I mean, for the young people watching, you can emulate all the old computers on your, newer Windows PCs and Macs. And it's a great sort of vision into the past to see what those were like. My second last question is to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
So that one, probably I've categorized into more, there's the business side, and then there's the kind of personal character based side. So on the business side, I take a lot of learnings from a man who wrote a book called Measure What Matters. And it's really helped me. So his name's John Doerr. He was one of the first investors of Google. And he wrote a book for those of you out there who are interested. It's called Measure What Matters. And the one line he always says is execution is everything. So ideas come and go, and a young person wanting to do something great, an idea has to be executed, and it's the execution that matters. From a kind of personal character perspective, even though I'm into the sciences, I pray a lot. We do a lot of things in the world, and at the end of the day, we're just humans trying to get through this thing called life, and we need. I like to think there's something more powerful out up there that's looking over me, and so I try not to talk about that too often. But at the most fundamental level, I believe in prayer. I know all of my friends who are scientists don't believe in that, but for me, it's just something that grounds me and puts things in perspective in terms of what I'm doing. So,
Whenever I hear about measurement, I think of my father's uncle who always used to say, measure twice and cut once. And then as for the spiritual side of things, yes, I think that's something that we're going to be looking at a lot more in the age of AI, and people potentially looking towards AI as a digital sort of God. And if you've got the little AirPod in your ear, your kids in 10 years, are they going to listen to you, or are they going to listen to the thing whispering in their ear to tell them these things? There's going to be a lot of debate about that and what it means to be human, and whether people are going to find that their best friends are machines. I mean, that's already something that we've had people who have sadly ended their lives because they were in a relationship of sorts with an AI chatbot, and it was something that was taken away from them. And I don't remember all the details, but already that's sort of something that has already affected some people. So, yeah, the next level of existence is we're living in it, and we don't even know where really it's going yet, and it's going to be quite a journey for civilization. Now,
fantastic existential insights and points, Alex. Wonderful points.
so what is your final message for the viewers and readers?
Uh, for me, I mean, I'm just another technologist hoping to move the needle slightly. My message is just more from a broad thing, a broad perspective, which is to just get informed and make sure that the information you're getting is from a real person, maybe like Alex. When you're talking about gadgets, you need a real person telling you what it is. The more informed we are, because we fear what we don't understand. Always look at the person's, background. They've been doing that thing and they're good at doing that thing. Be well informed, and that way people don't fear something that they're not informed about. Do not pass judgment yet. Just learn about it is probably a good productive step.
Well, Roanne Monty, I'm sure that you're going to be doing more than moving the needle, but leaving your own dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs was described to have done. I wish you the best of success with the Roand Video Intelligence platform and many innovations and improvements to come. And I do hope we can speak again in the future. So thank you very much, and bye for now.
Hi, Alex. Bye.
Thank you.